From Vinegar Syndrome, we've got the 11th Commandment. This is one of their newer releases. Kind of a, I don't know if you want to describe it, kind of a slasher in some ways, but then not quite. We follow a guy at the beginning of the movie named Robert, and he's kind of been committed to the insane asylum because his Uncle Charles wants to make sure he can't get his inheritance. And while he's there, he kind of takes on this persona as a preacher, but there's this evil woman that works there that keeps reminding him that he doesn't, really he can't really be a preacher or whatever. So she kind of reminds you a little bit of Mother Superior from Silent Night, Deadly Night. Also, one of the orderlies is Uncle Phil himself from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I don't know what his character name is other than he's an orderly, but he's here at the start of the movie. And things happen, and they end up giving the guy like electroshock therapy, which just makes it worse. So he gets out of there and actually murders his way out of there. And then, he goes, picks up like his little cousin, who's like, I think 9, kind of kidnaps her. And her mom, is worried about it, but her mom's kind of shady too. It's like everybody in this movie is shady. Everybody's out for that inheritance. They're all out for themselves. So there's really nobody outside like the 9-year-old kid and like the maid and Uncle Phil, of course, that you can really get behind, but he's not in it very much. There's detectives that's like hooked on pills. It's on his, on the case after him. It's just everybody in this movie, or 90% of the people in this movie, are really just pieces of shit. So that's just the only way to look at it. Like I said, I kind of don't know if it wants to be a slasher or wants to be something else. Like, he definitely goes on a killing spree of sorts at different times. And when it is, when it does get bloody, it does get pretty bloody, and there's quite a bit of blood when people die. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in between that just drags on and on and on. And if it had a better pace, maybe was more committed to the slasher side of things, then I could probably give it a much higher score than I'm going to end up giving it. There's some, like I said, some very bad people in this, and everybody's always being shady. But they end up, some of them meeting their fate in some very kind of ironic ways. So that makes up for some of it. The movie itself, like I said, not really my cup of tea. Although I think a serial killer slasher preacher would have been a pretty cool thing to have done. They just kind of missed their mark on that just a little bit. And you kind of feel bad for, our main guy here that obviously he's been driven to the point of doing what he's doing because he's getting electrocuted pretty much in the nut house. But I digress. 2.5 out of 5. Pretty middle ground. But it's Vinegar Syndrome, so this release looks good. It looks really good, actually. It's like one of the better releases I've seen lately with all companies combined. It's got the reversible art that I'm going to show you. Just a Blu-ray. It seems like maybe they've kind of shied away from the DVD combos that they were doing. I assume there's probably a slipcase for this one because it seems like most of their stuff has slipcases these days, so there's probably a slipcase. Newly scanned and restored in 2K from its 35mm and positive. A lifetime for preparation. Interview with actor Bernard White. Through the eyes of a child. Interview with actress Lauren Woodland. She plays like the 9-year-old in the movie, so she's growing up now, obviously, and they talk to her. Promotional still gallery. Reversible cover art. But that's the 11th Commandment. 2.5 out of 5. It almost becomes something pretty cool, but then it kind of stops itself.